Hey everyone, Thordan Smash here, and Apex Legends has been around for a very long time, and there's been some really good things that have come with the game, but there have been a couple of mistakes, and some of them EA/Apex Legends doesn't want you to remember. So today we're going to go over the 10 biggest blunders that happened in the game. We're also going to go ahead and give out a Watson Prestige skin. All you got to do is like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. So let's get this started with the 10 biggest misfires in Apex Legends history. And number 10 is going to be the fact that one of the former lead game designers for Apex Legends got fired for racist remarks that he put on the internet. Now, for those of you who don't know, this was Daniel Z. Klein. He was the head of the buffs and nerfs department basically for the game. And this is the guy who would have designed future updates for the games, new weapon changes and meta shifts, and all that and more. And he often had a little bit of a tumultuous relationship with the Apex community going back and forth, but we'll cover that actually later in the video. But what ended up happening was that users had actually gone back and found that he had done a blog post where he wrote that women were irrational, said that XX were the moron chromosomes, and that his readers shouldn't pay attention to a woman's online post because it's just their vagina talking. Other writing from this period shows that Klein was making a racist joke about refusing to feed Africans with a punchline about African people's lack of hygiene. Now, that being said, this did not go over well, especially with the Apex Legends community, which does have a lot of characters that have a lot of diversity and a lot of the fan base that supports that. Respawn eventually came out with an initial response to it, where the head of comms, Ryan K. Rigney, at the time said that I don't think anything from 2007 reflects a person in 2021, as the writings were very, very old. However, Tom T. Square Taylor, who is a former esports veteran and a broadcaster for Pro Apex, had a reversal opinion, stating, I know this won't stand at Respawn, expect a statement in the next 24 hours because this is not what our community stands for. I'm all for personal growth, but if you have this mindset as a 30-year-old, even in 2007, that's concerning, because that comment in 2007 was not made from a teenage Daniel Z. Klein, it was made from a fully grown adult who was much older. Of course, this all boiled down to eventually Daniel Z. Klein being laid off on August 10th, where he said, as of last Friday, I'm no longer working at Respawn. I want to be very open here and say that I'm heartbroken and depressed. It's been a very few dark days. You may or may not have seen the awful bigoted things I said in 2007. I wholeheartedly agree that that guy should have been fired. And that was the end of the Daniel Z. Klein saga, although he is referenced in many other sagas on this list, which goes into number 9, which is going to be the Iron Crown Collection event, which was the first ever collection event that was introduced into Apex Legends. It came with the first ever buyable heirloom, which is going to be the Bloodhound one, and featured 24 unique epic and legendaries. However, there was a little bit of an issue with this game mode because you could not buy the skins directly like you can now. In the current collection events, you can buy 2 skins within the store event tab. In this one, you had to buy all of them through loot packs, and on top of that, there was the fact that if you got all 24 packs when this was initially talked about, you would then have to pay for the heirloom on top of it, which was absolutely asinine. Think of paying $160 and that just unlocks the ability to buy the heirloom. There was a lot of issues with it, so of course there was a lot of controversy, and Reddit got involved, and so did the dev team, in a very heated discussion. And this is kind of where it went all down. Going back to our previous one, Daniel Z. Klein ended up making a statement. I think I technically was calling gamers dicks. I don't know. I had a spicy lunch feeling it due to the backlash that they were receiving. He also went on to say the amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and a change in price doesn't move that needle. And probably the worst offending one was one that said, I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players weren't complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. And while it is okay to be defensive about being called names, which does seem to be the case between Redditor and the devs, you are in an argument about microtransactions, which we all know are pretty predatory in Apex Legends, so calling them asshats, freeloaders, and dicks was probably not the approach to go. This eventually forced Vince Zampella, who was the CEO of Respawn and basically their head director, to apologize directly to the fans, and Drew McCoy stating personally that they were going to make changes in collection events going forward, which is now why we actually have the option to buy them in the store. There was also one additional benefit that came from this, and that's the fact that we did get solos mode in Apex Legends. Number 8 is a personal one to me, and this one involves actually the Apex Legends YouTube community, and that is the downfall of Watergum, who at one time had 118,000 subscribers. I actually think it was up to 150 at one point, and who has fallen from grace and deleted his channel since. Watergum was probably the biggest Apex Legends news guy from season 5 probably until around season 9. And what happened around season 9 is that he actually got caught DDoSing. There was clips presented on Twitch where Watergum got banned, then shadow banned, and could no longer access any of his accounts. And of course, this started a lot of talk within the Apex community about how he had been DDoSing to give himself the title of Apex Predator. And then it got even worse. And there was a lot of evidence, as shown in this Reddit post, where people had video evidence, the banner matching frames, and also tracking his score, which I think jumped a staggering 4,000 RP in a single 3-hour session. Once other YouTubers started covering the fact that a top Apex Legends newscaster got caught DDoSing, DDoSing, Watergum was not very happy about it and some drama broke out. In fact, I was involved in the drama myself. Watergum decided to go ahead and DMCA abuse multiple different content creators, and the biggest one he did was probably me, where he actually posted, "YouTuber Thordan Smash won't be uploading for a while. His channel is pending termination," showing that he DMCA striked me so many times. Fortunately, and I got every single strike overturned by just reaching out to their offices directly. This basically caused so much embarrassment for Watergum that he eventually decided to delete his YouTube channel, and he has since moved on to Counter-Strike 2, where he has a somewhat successful channel, which is kind of interesting to see. But at least we don't have to worry about him in the Apex community anymore, so we're going to call that an absolute win. Number 7 is going to be the fact that Nick's Mercs was holding a $50,000 Apex Legends tournament, and a popular streamer, TrainRex, was supposed to actually be in the stream and compete in this tournament until EA told him no, and they told Nick Mercs that it has to do with stuff that TrainRex did on stream. It's more so about the gambling, or at least that's what it looked like. Now, TrainRex obviously got very, very mad and said, "You corrupt shady, the real gamble was done by you when you paid me 150K for 4 hours of Apex, a game no one gives a F about me playing. I'll sponsor Nick's tourney for double what you offer, you virtue signaling FIFA pack gambling Fs." Obviously, he was very, very upset about that. And everyone in the Apex community, such as Furia PvP, Zach Mazer, Retrospect, Gent, and even Modern Warzone, were very confused about this, because if you didn't know, as we've covered, Apex Legends has Apex packs, which is basically gambling. In fact, they are outlawed in certain countries such as Belgium because they consider it gambling content. So to ban a streamer who does gambling on stream while they themselves have gambling in their game was a little interesting, but nothing ended up ever coming out of it, and EA did not change its stance. Number 6 is going to be creator skins in the game, and this involves Lulu Lovely, as her, along with many other creators, had custom designed skins that were released about 1.5 to 2 years ago. You can see it right here. It's a pink R301. Now, the issue here is Lulu states that all of the creator skins EA told us for months they're going to be creator skins. It's your skin, she said. And then the day before they released them, they were like, "Yeah, your name isn't actually going to be attached to the skin at all, nor will you get any money from the skin or recognition," which is kind of a dick thing to do if that person actually helped design the skin and they are the inspiration behind it. When Lulu brought that up to EA, they're like, "We'll mention you in a blog post." She was paid initially for helping out with the skin, however, promised royalties, which were tied with her name and likeness being in the game, and those were turned down at the last minute. That led to Lulu saying, "And people wonder why I stopped playing Apex Legends." And this seems to be a common trend that goes on with EA, and we'll discuss that once again later in this video. Eventually, they did fix it about a year later, where they did say inspired by Lulu Lovely on the blog post, and EA admitted their fault. But it took this whole story getting out for them to ever make a change, and if it had not gotten out, we never would have seen it. Number 5 is going to be collector editions in the game of Apex Legends. There was a last call to buy these collector editions, which are special skins that come bundled with different weapons and Apex coins and very cool cosmetics. It's very important to note that the writing says this is your last opportunity to buy the legend editions. Each comes with a legendary skin, weapon, charm, banner frame, badge, and 1,000 Apex coins. Even Shrugtall, one of the most popular data mines, said Respawn appears to be retiring legend editions from purchase next season, as indicated by new in-game news items. So it was very confusing when, for instance, this Lifeline Guardian Angel bundle showed up in the store featuring the skin, the flatline, and the Apex packs. Now, of course, you could make the argument that technically they didn't lie because it doesn't feature the box or the banner frame or the Apex coins. And while it is technically true, it's still very much manipulative. As Zilk says right here, if they didn't say that they will be gone forever, it's okay, but baiting us to buy the editions because it's literally the last call to get them, well, it's not, is not okay, and I agree 100%. This hasn't stopped it whatsoever. They are still releasing to this day, but it just went to show us that we can't always trust EA when they say something unless it is very, very clear what their intention is. Not to mention they still do the launch bundles like this Revenant one, which costs more than a full price AAA game, at least most of them, except for the ones that cost $70, which, well, it came with a lot of stuff. I still gotta say, you're better off buying Baldur's Gate 3, absolute banger of a game, than a launch bundles for a skin in a first-person shooter. Number 4 is going to be the ALGS skins and competition. Ever since ALGS has been around, Respawn has been introducing skins into the game. The first one was actually an ALGS Championship sale, which featured just unique Apex skins, and a portion of the prize would go to the ALGS prize pool. I believe it was up to $2 million, and everything after that Respawn actually just kept in their pocket. That was something important to note, which made a lot of people at the time very frustrated. Then following that, there was an ALGS team shop, which actually took it a step further and introduced banner frames for each organization, or at least a certain amount of them, which they did get a small percentage of, but not very much, because the skin designs were just recolors of existing skins, which also made a lot of the ALGS pro players feel ripped off because they didn't get their full value. Now, eventually there was actual org skins, as you can see the crazy raccoon Watson here, and most people, if you've been watching my channel, are aware that the teams were offered $60,000 each as a flat licensing fee for the skins that they had designed for Respawn and EA. However, that's a very, very low amount for this org to accept, especially because there would be no revenue share, which they do deserve a percentage of the royalties because it is their logo on these skins. 14 of the 20 orgs actually involved sent a letter letter back to EA saying that they were not happy, and it was drafted by TSM and Team Liquid, and those teams featured 100 Thieves, Alliance, Cloud9, Complexity, Dark Zero, FaZe Clan, Fnatic, G2, Navi, NRG, Sentinels, and Space Station Gaming. Of course, EA did not accept it, and we never got the skins whatsoever. The deal never ended up working out, and it broke down completely. This has led to Team Liquid, Cloud9, G2, and NRG all leaving, along with Space Station Gaming and others, with this funny meme of TSM standing alone, as they are pretty much the only profitable org in Apex Legends esports, because EA's greed just won't allow something to be worked out. Coming in at number 3 on the list in terms of EA greed is going to be Battle Pass Reactive Skins. Now, everyone wanted the flatline reactive heatsink. It had actually been found in the game files, people were hyped. It had the iron sights, but then it had actually been reverted, but everyone was very excited for when this was going to release, and Respawn knew it. So to test the waters, they came out with the Celestial Sunrise event, which featured this reactive Peacekeeper skin for the Peacekeeper from the Season 3 Battle Pass. It was absolutely a disaster. This was a $160 heirloom reward if you bought everything in the event, which was a recolor of a $10 Battle Pass skin of the Frostbite and Bloodstone. Another reason why this went with so much backlash is there were no special animations with this heirloom. While most other heirlooms come with unique inspect animations, this was strictly just a $160 recolor, which absolutely tipped the scales of the Apex fanbase to absolute rage. It got so bad that Respawn at one point had to make a public statement saying that there won't be another reward for a collection event like the Peacekeeper. We learned some lessons, you won't see that reward again. I can pretty much guarantee that. The intent is always to do something players enjoy and see value in, definitely not trying to upset anyone. And 2 is going to be the Wintertide Collection event. This goes down as probably the biggest misfire on YouTube for Apex Legends, as when they dropped the trailer, it received 20,000 likes and 58,000 dislikes, making it the most disliked trailer of all time. And the reason for that was because it featured mostly just recolors of existing skins. Along with that, there was just the same LTM that there was the previous times, with no new additions to it, which is just the Winter Express game mode. And what made it even worse is some skins were locked behind bundles, meaning that you couldn't buy the Father Fitzmas or the Pandemonium bundle. Singularly, you had to buy them with the Apex packs and everything, which made people very upset because they had to spend additional money. However, despite the fact that this was so disliked and there was so much backlash, Respawn actually has doubled down on this. Imperial Guard was another collection event that came a couple months afterwards and did feature a lot of recolors as well, very similar to the Wintertide, but it featured the Wraith Heirloom recolor, so no one really mentioned anything about an issue there. Although it did feature free legendary packs as an event reward, so people probably were pretty happy about that. The Death Dynasty collection event with no new LTM really. Every single item in it was a recolor. I don't believe there was one unique skin in there, and it was an heirloom recolor for Revenant, which looked exactly like his original one. So this is a mistake. I do not think that Respawn is going to be adjusting anytime soon unless players bring up more issues with it. And number 1 is something that happened on the 4th of July about 2 years ago when Apex Legends, the game itself, got hacked. You would get a notice when you loaded in saying SaveTitanfall.com being the only playlist available to play. This was during the Season 9 event, and when you looked around, it was just a bunch of lock screens, and there was a message attached saying visit and repost SaveTitanfall.com. Now, there was a 40-page PDF released saying that they think that PO538, Red Shield, and a small group of hackers were working together to attack Titanfall 1, 2, and Apex Legends as a way to bring Titanfall back online. As Respawn on April 5th did say we're aware of the ongoing DDoS attacks affecting Titanfall, to the Titanfall community, help is coming ASAP, but that help never did actually come, which is why this hack happened. Afterwards, when they got the servers back up and running, Respawn did respond saying that they achieved nothing of value, and it's impossible to know that because they said they achieved nothing of value, but at this point we don't know how much of that is actually true and if they did make a difference. Let me know down below what in your opinion was the biggest issue that happened in Apex Legends in its entire lifespan. Also, don't forget to check out this video right here where I cover more news and information on Apex Legends on the daily, and until next time everyone, keep slaying in the Outlands. See you out there.